And I had the idea to talk to the Western men that may watch this video. The goal is to share my happiness and encourage you. If you're lonely right now, if you've been through a relationship that feels like it broke something inside of you, if you've told yourself that it's too late, that love isn't for you anymore, maybe you feel like you've missed your window when it comes to love, I want you to stay right here because I was exactly where you are. I was 42 years old roughly. I had just come out of a 15-year relationship that made both of us miserable, quite honestly. And when it ended, I made a decision. I told God I was finished, done with relationships, done with trying, done with all of it. And then I found my wife, or maybe she found me, I'm not exactly sure. Now, before I tell you the whole story, how it all happened, and I am gonna tell you the whole story because really you need to hear it. I want you to know what this video is really about. I spent years figuring out something that I wish someone had told me a long time ago. And I'm making this video so that you don't have to figure it out the hard way like I did. Stay with me. This is gonna be worth your time, I promise. But first I need to say something clearly, and I'm only gonna say this once. This video is not about hookups. It's not about sex tourism. It's not about taking advantage of women in developing countries. There are men who come to the Philippines for those reasons. And quite honestly, it makes me sick. That's not what this is. This video is for men of character. And my goal would be to reach men of faith, honestly. Men who want something real, a real woman, a real relationship, a real life. If that's you, keep watching because this video was made for you. Because I was once in that lonely place, and honestly, I want you to be blessed the way I was. So let me take you back. I've been in a relationship for nearly 15 years, and for most of those years, neither of us were happy. It was stressful, it was draining, and eventually we both knew it needed to end. When it did end, I was in my early 40s and I was done. Not done in a dramatic way, just done in a quiet, defeated kind of way. I didn't think I was gonna find anyone else at my age. After a relationship like that, with everything I had been through, I genuinely believed that chapter of my life was closed. And when it came to relationships, at least. So I made a commitment. I told God, I'm not doing this again. I'm not going to pursue love. I'm not going to put myself through that kind of pain ever again. The problem with that decision is that you can commit to being alone, but you cannot commit to not being lonely. That is just part of being human. Around this same time, I was getting serious about my faith. When your personal life falls apart, that is a natural moment to look for something more solid, to stand on at least. And so that's what I was doing. I was cleaning up my life, removing toxic people, looking for community that aligned with where I was trying to go. I had no idea that in the middle of all that, God was about to do something I didn't see coming. I was on Facebook one day doing something pretty simple. I was cleaning up my friends list, removing people that did not belong
people that were not really heading in the direction that my life was heading in. And I started looking for people more aligned with my faith life. People who were serious about God and faith in general. I clicked on a friend's profile and started looking through his connections. They were all believers. That was exactly what I was looking for. And somewhere in the process, I came across her profile. She was talking about the Bible, and she was clearly a woman of faith. And she happened to be single. Now, I wasn't looking for a woman. I want to be clear about that. I had made a commitment to God that I was done with all that. I was looking for community. I was looking for people who shared my faith. But something caused me to send her a message, and I just said hi. Later, she replied with, "Hello, sir." And we started talking. And her English was a little limited at the time, and we struggled through some of those first conversations. But here's the thing, that was actually a blessing. There were no games, no performance, no trying to be impressive. Just two people communicating and enjoying the time. Within the first week of talking to her, I knew I was gonna marry her. Now, I know how that sounds, but it's the truth. We talked for a year and a half every day, back and forth. And in that whole time, nobody around me believed it was going anywhere. Nobody thought it was real. My family, my friends, they all thought I was wasting my time talking to a woman on the other side of the world that I had never met. I didn't care what anyone thought. Talking to her got me through. It gave me something to look forward to every single day. It brought me happiness at a time in my life when I didn't have much of it. And slowly, without even me knowing, she'd become the most important person in my life. In 2015, I decided it was time, and I booked the flights and I went to meet her. Now, if you've ever traveled to the southern Philippines, it's not exactly a short trip. I flew from home in Wisconsin to Vancouver, Vancouver to Manila, Manila to Cagayan de Oro in Mindanao, the Philippines. And that's a long way to go to meet somebody that you've only ever talked to on Facebook. It's about a 40-hour trip on average. And we agreed to meet at the mall, a simple public place, normal enough. I get there, looking around, I'm on my phone, trying to find her, and I can't seem to find her anywhere. What I didn't know at the time, and what I now fully understand completely, is that she had brought her cousin Jai Jai with her for moral support, and she was hiding behind him. Now, I'm an American. I'm used to people being direct, and I'm standing there getting a little frustrated, honestly. Phone in hand, wondering, where is she? What's going on? And then she pops out from behind her cousin. And I want to be honest with you. There was no big hug, no dramatic movie moment. That's just not how it works in Filipino culture. And in that moment, standing there in the mall, I actually thought to myself, did I just fly to the other side of the world for nothing? But then we spent 2 weeks together, and by the time I had to leave, by the time I had to get back on those planes and go home, I didn't want to go. I didn't want to leave her. And I knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that she was my wife. I ended up going home and spent the next year going through the paperwork to get her a fiancé visa. It's a process. It takes time, it costs money, and it's genuinely frustrating at times. But we got through it. She was approved in early 2016. She arrived in America on May 28th, and on June 28th, we were married. 1 month, and there was no struggle. We were just instantly happy together. And most of that, I can honestly say, is because of who she is as a person. Now I want to talk about something that I think is at the heart of why this works. Because it's not just about geography, it's not just about finding a woman in a different country. There's something deeper going on here. The women I've known here, and I've been living in the Philippines now for some time, the women here are different in a way that it's hard to fully explain until you experience it. But let me try to the best of my ability. When you grow up in a place where you don't always have everything you want, it shapes your character in a profound way. It produces gratitude, commitment, generosity. The women here tend to have a quality of character that is genuinely rare. There's an innocence to it, a realness. They're not performing. They're not competing. They're just who they are. And then there's the faith element. My wife grew up in the church. Her grandfather was the pastor. Her entire upbringing was rooted in faith. And that shaped everything about who she became as an adult. That's not unique to her. Faith is genuinely central to daily life here in a way that it simply is not in most of the Western world anymore. But here's the thing. Here's the thing I want to say directly to the men watching this. And I want you to really hear it. I really want you to hear this. In the West, I was always fighting for position in my own relationship. There was always this undercurrent of conflict, competition, a struggle for dominance that nobody ever named, but everybody's felt. Here, I can just be the man. And she's happy to just be the woman. And that changes everything. And I'm not talking about control. I'm not talking about a woman who has no voice. I'm talking about natural dynamic where both people are comfortable in their roles, are not confused, and they're not constantly at war with each other over it. And I'll say this clearly because I believe it is true. The women here take relationships seriously. They take marriage seriously. They're dedicated to their family. And when things go wrong in a marriage here, it seems to be the man that's the reason. Now, I'm not sure it's always that way, but in general, that's what I've seen. And I meet many women here, and they are looking for love, for family, for commitment, and they're willing to do their part. Now, I want to talk about things that can go wrong, because I'm not here to sell you a fantasy. If you come here with the wrong mindset or without your eyes open, you can make a real mess of your life and hurt people in the process. Gold diggers and scams, they exist. There are women here who will target Western men specifically because they see a financial opportunity. This is real, and you need to know how to protect yourself. The good news is that it's usually not hard to spot if you're paying attention and not letting loneliness cloud your judgment. Take your time. Watch how someone behaves, not just what they say. Meet their family, understand their world before you commit to anything. The family dynamic, when you marry a Filipina, you're joining a family to a significant degree. Family obligations are real here, and they run deep. This is not a negative thing. It's actually one of the most beautiful things about this culture. But you need to understand it and respect it going in rather than being blindsided by it later. Cultural and language adjustments, things will feel strange at first. That's normal. Learn the culture. Be patient with yourself and with her. The adjustment is real, but it's manageable if you approach it with humility. Long distance, if you go the visa route like I did, the waiting period is hard. A year or more apart, after you've already found the person you want to be with, is genuinely painful. Which brings me to my next point. If I could go back and do this differently, I would. Now, I love my story. I wouldn't trade what I have for anything, but if I'm being honest with you, as a man who wants to help you, skip the visa process if you can. Don't do what I did. Come here, live here, find your wife here, build your life here from the start. Here's why. The Philippines is affordable in a way that most Western men don't fully appreciate until they experience it. And you don't need a fortune to live well here. You don't need to be rich. You need to be responsible and intentional. And you can build a genuinely good life here on an income that would feel very tight back home. And when you're here, you're experiencing the culture naturally. You're meeting people organically. You're not rushing because you have a visa deadline or a flight home. You can take your time and do this right. Now, in America, I was working constantly and leaving my family to do it. Here, I have more time with my wife and my children than I ever had before. We're more happy. Life is simpler. And it's full in a way that just feels like what life is supposed to be like. Now, I'm not telling every Western man to pack up and move to the Philippines. That's a big decision, and it's yours to make. But I am telling you this. The story that it's too late for you is a lie. The idea that real love doesn't exist anymore, it's not true. The belief that you missed your window, that you're too old, too broken, too far gone, that's just not accurate. I was 42 years old with a failed 15-year relationship behind me and a commitment to God that I was done with love. And God apparently had other plans. The right woman is out there. And for a lot of Western men, it's more than you might think. She's here in the Philippines. If this video resonated with you, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me where you are in your story.
I read every comment. I want to know who's watching this and what you're going through. I'm going to be making more content around this topic going forward, going deeper on the practical side of how to actually do this the right way, how to meet women here, how to protect yourself, what to expect when you get here. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss those. And one more thing, I'm thinking about putting something together for the men that are serious about this. Something more personal, more direct. More on that later. So stay tuned and keep watching. If you're a lonely Western man and you've been sitting on this idea for a while, take this video as your sign. Stop sitting on it. Do something about it. You deserve a life. Come here and find it because it's waiting.